So the theme of my talk, I always pose a question when I present, because at the end of the day it's going to be a discussion. So at the end of the day we have to answer this question whether it's yes or no, so that to show that we've been following as to what we're trying to do. I'm in the digital transformation space and I utilize a lot artificial intelligence. This is the agenda. Introduction is always critical. The struggle for readiness. We know that we talk about digital transformation at universities, but are we ready for that? And areas of AI readiness as well, which are more critical when you're looking at digital transformation. Then I'll close with the remarks and conclusion. I always start with the hype. I mean, as to where do we fare in terms of artificial intelligence. This is a sort of like a slide I got from Gartner. They are our service provider as well. You can see that there's been a lot of work that's been expectation-wise in terms of knowledge graphs, smart robots. I'm sure you're all aware of that. Machine customers, artificial intelligence, sort of like in general. If you look at the time span, less than 2 years, 2 years to 5 years, up until as of July 2021, you can see sort of like the transition from innovation trigger to a plateau of productivity. So this is kind of like the hype that surrounds artificial intelligence as of 2021. Probably they're still looking at into all the things that will cover the last kind of like 4 years. What's AI? It's very important. We always assume people know what AI is all about. I always consider AI as starting from when we were sort of like in this day and age. As we move along, now we start being fuzzy. Our minds now are kind of like getting in more and more complex. It's going to be even worse as we move along. So that's my sort of like trajectory in terms of what AI is all about. It shows that it's evolving as we move along. And don't worry about the fuzzy part. It's just my own thinking that probably 10 or 20 years or 30 years from now, this will be kind of like a picture when people are talking about AI. Obviously, digital transformation becomes critical in this sense because it's now we've got all these technologies, AI being part of them. How can you utilize them for the benefit of our own organizations or institutions as well? So digital transformation plays kind of like a key role. As I've said, you look at cultural, workforce, and technological shift. As our technologies become more and more modern, how do we sort of like transform our organizations? So that's kind of like things that we've been working on. Also, dramatic shifts in terms of our workspace skills. Do we have the skills if we talk about digital transformation as organizations? Because we talk about all these modern technologies and we always forget about whether our own sort of like workforce have got that skills. But then I've just summarized that driven by technology trends, changes that enable new approaches as well, new business models, improve student outcomes, because I'm in the academia space, different teaching and learning methods, all this in the context of what people talk about COVID. But even before COVID came along, some universities were already digital, sort of like transforming their kind of like institution. This is just like another picture of what disruption to transformation. You can see that we refine, we improve current technologies. As we move along, it disrupts. There's a lot of changes within organizations, inventing new technologies, and it's got an initial impact. Once you transform now, there's a broad change and lasting impact, especially in industries, culture and people. That's the workforce themselves. So where are we? I think we're sort of like between the disrupt and transforming, because at the end of the day, we want to transform our kind of like academic space as well. This is just a summary as well in the academia space. You can see that we've got instructional modality, learner development, organizational policies, partnerships are very critical. I saw a video when I just popped in, they're talking about effective collaboration. I think it's very important that we sort of like look into that as well. This is an unfolding learn space. I got it from a source here. You can see that it's been quite a lot of things that have been going on. I'm a fan of big data analytics. I've been working on that for a while. Cloud computing becomes critical because you're now moving things in the cloud, especially if you're going to be looking at modern technologies, mobile, social, internet becomes critical, connectivity. You can see that it's a massive kind of like space. I mean, you start with data transformation, you're going to end up with AI strategies, IoT strategies, cloud strategies, security and stuff like that. It shows that it's a kind of like a massive kind of like space as well. Definitions as well, the ideal approach and the human approach. I always split this so that we can think, because we always say that machine learning mimics what human beings will be doing. So that's why I always have an ideal and a human approach. I think you can go through the slides later on in terms of what the definition is all about. Early history, I'll just go through this fast. I'll just click, 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 and click. Alan Turing, 1950, he published a paper in Computer and Intelligence Machinery. He's also famous for cracking the code for World War II. So to me, that's AI at its best. That was 1950. As you move along, 56, the artificial intelligence term comes into play at a conference of AI by John McCarthy. At a conference in Dartmouth College. Then we move along, neural networks, 1967. He started the concept of neural networks before 1980s, when it was like a boom. If you didn't talk about neural networks in AI, I'm sure people thought you were crazy or you didn't know what you were doing. But things have changed in recent years. So you can see that there's been a lot of work in this, I mean, since the 1950s. So it shows that AI has got a history in terms of being utilized for different things that we do as well. All this you'll get from the slides later on. Then there is this negative attitude towards AI. I can't finish my talk without just giving an idea as to what people talk about AI. You can see the jobs will be lost. You read that all the time. You can, as recent, I think it's June 2023, this is a pioneer, Geoffrey Hinton. He's the guy who came up with deep learning. Now he's worried also about AI because people have been abusing AI. They're doing things, utilizing AI for the wrong reasons. He quit, I think he quit Google, top job at Google because of that, which I found strange, but he did it because he just felt this AI, I thought it was going to be a good tool to use, but now people are using it for the wrong reason. So those things you'll read time and time again as well. Could spell the end of the human race. I think this was Stephen Hawking. I'm sure you know him. He was a physicist from Cambridge University. He said AI could spell the end of the human race because these machines, they become smarter than human beings. People, they get worried as well. So, but I always say that people shouldn't panic. After reading all these things, I always say don't panic. This is the reason why you shouldn't panic. You can see that countries are already investing. China, 337 billion. AI, top 6 brands. Whenever you go to the World Economic Forum, AI is going to be there, top of the of the list as well. AI tools, startup companies, open AI. Now you've got Chpc, which has been abused as well, but it's a useful tool if you're going to use it for the right reasons as well. So you can see that there's been quite a number of things that they've been doing. If you look at the FR Summit, just 91.7 trillion, and AI was key in all of the kind of like projects that were discussed there. Also, daily news, read this each and every day. AI assesses breast cancer risk 30 times faster, amazing, and so on. GE Ripon as a software startup, I'm sure you all know General Electric, and so on. You can see that voice recognition faster than typing. All these are sort of like AI technologies. The world first self-driving taxi picking up passengers in Singapore, 2017, we read about that. AI is biased. We also read about that, whereby students always complain that when you type names of students, you only see English names. You don't see the Peggy Sipos and the Bonganes and stuff like that. So it means it's biased, but it's all about the system. How did you build the system? Did you build it with English names? Did you build it with a combination of names, African? But students, they raise that quite a lot, which is good because it shows that they are on track with things. But and so on. So these are the things that have made breakthroughs. So this is kind of like a theoretical background because I'm working in digital transformation. You can see we started where digitization. I always ask my students about the difference between the two. I'm sure I'm not going to ask you, but when you read the slides, you'll see that there is a huge difference between the two. When you talk of digitization, up until you reach digital transformation. I've given some examples there as to what that is all about. And also it impacts on what? Future of work. I did talk about the skills that our staff have. We are transforming, which is fine, but our staff, do they have the necessary skills to be able to, one, lecture the students. And the students, what type of skills do we we expect the students to have? So this is kind of like a theoretical background that I use when I define AI and digital transformation. Obviously, South Africa, this is not my own stuff. You can tell that there's been a lot of demographics in terms of AI professionals by age. It's fascinating when you see as to where the different kind of age groups are. If you look at search engines, where people, they do search about AI as well, it's also given on the right-hand side. If you have time, just go through this so that you can have kind of an idea as to where we are in South Africa in terms of AI. Okay, this is another slide I always include it because some of the things we say today and they're repeated 20 years from now, people will laugh at you. Let's start with the first one. The worldwide demand for vehicles will not exceed 1 million. That was Gottlieb Daimler in 1901. I'm sure everyone was excited. Oh man, this is powerful. But if you read it now, it's crazy. I think there's a world market for maybe 5 computers. Look at the laptops we have here, just in this room. But that's what I said when, 1943. Bill Gates took the classics. 640 KB ought to be enough for anybody. This slide, it's 30 megabytes, the one I'm working on today. But when you read of it here, probably it made sense. So for probably the stuff I'm saying now, our great-grandkids will be laughing, oh, this guy was crazy. What was he talking all about? So I'm just giving an idea that things are changing rapidly. And by the time you realize there'll be things that you think that didn't make any sense at all. So obviously it has made some strides. I think we utilize it a lot in terms of when you're governing, risk management becomes key, standards, ethics. You have to take note of that. Designing automation, sustainability and design, enabling data becomes very critical. Whenever you're going to develop a system, data becomes very important. Good quality data as well, not just ordinary data. So it's always important to keep it at the back of your mind that these systems are fascinating to build, but your data should be up to scratch. Incentives and education. Obviously, I'm talking about our own universities here that will enable our the students to go back out, to go into industry with the necessary skills. Struggle for readiness, it's quite amazing. If you look at it, there's business confusion, there's market confusion and societal movement. Data is a mess or lacking. I've already talked about that. Lack of talent, skills as well. At our universities, our programs that we have addressed that need for IT infrastructure, very critical, especially in the less developed countries who are battling with IT infrastructure, which is very important. All the stuff I'm talking about today relies heavily on IT infrastructure, irrespective of the skills as well. So I'm just going to go through that, but don't know how to get the slide. These are the 5 areas of AI readiness that you have to focus on as well. Strategy, very important. People, which is us, because what's the point of readiness when there's no one that's going to be utilizing it? Data, I cannot overemphasize on that. Infrastructure and ethics. Now AI has been called into question regarding ethics. If a self-driving car bumps on someone on the street, who do you blame? You blame the guy who programmed or who designed the code as well, or you blame the car, or you blame whoever. So that's the things that you have to keep on thinking about from time to time as you move along. But those are the key kind of readiness as well. So there are 3 types here. We've got the foundational readiness, which talks about infrastructure platform, cloud resources, data sources and software packages. You've got the operational readiness, which touches on agile delivery, operational management, especially the skills and expertise. Then you've got transformational readiness, strategic leadership, very important to have that. Business opportunity, clarity of the business case. Because someone will ask me, why did TUT decide to have a digital transformation portfolio? Was it because everyone is doing it? There has to be context. There has to be something driving it. A business case is very important. You don't design or come up with a strategy just because Bayes has come up with an AI strategy. There has to be a business case. We're doing this because of reasons behind it. That's why we come up with that. So it's very important. It's not a word of warning, but it's something that you always have to consider when you're coming up with a strategy. Okay, this is another one from AI now to digital transformation. You've got your technologies, you've got your activities, and you've got your boundaries. So you can see that all these technologies, what necessarily doing is like you are executing those techniques in terms of coming up in order for organizations to be digitally transformed. I've given examples there, your technologies there, new processes, products that you're going to come up with, which are very kind of like important. And then obviously goals there, which you might already have, because once you build kind of like your strategies, you've got your goals and your objectives there as well. Then readiness, you can see here, a scorecard on the left, there's nothing. You've got your technologies, your goals, your activities, and your boundaries. But once you tackle it, you've completed your readiness scorecard. You can see that now technologies, it takes a huge chunk, the technology. And then your activities there, because you've been working on things in order to meet your objectives and your goals. And then you can see that your boundaries, because as you're working on a digital transformation, you can't just do all things that are offered out there. It has to be sort of like within the kind of like digital or digitalization kind of like space. Almost there. AI readiness processes, I've just given you a process maturity ladder here. You can see that your manual, gone are the days when we're doing things manual. Now we're automating our processes and the things are becoming more faster. At TUT currently, we are trying to automate recruitment, whereby everything was done manual. After that, we'll do what? Procurement, all these tenders. Instead of someone coming and delivering, they should be doing them online. The system should be able to pick up things that are requirement, that are required in terms of building that kind of like system. So you can see that we're moving along intelligent. Obviously, they have to be intelligent, and they have to reach sort of like optimally. Then it becomes disruptive, because now people might be complaining. I can no longer now convince a friend of mine to submit, provided he's going to give me 10%. It's disruptive. People don't want that. They might say, no, we don't need an automated system for procurement. We don't need an automated system for recruitment, because before, when they got a CV, they put it under the desk. Even if you qualified, you might not get a job. But if it's systemized, everything will go on the system. The system will do it for you. It selects, it knows the requirement, and it will give you those 5 key CVs that are relevant. So it becomes easy. Okay, remarks and conclusion. I always say that whether the organization is at the beginning of the NI journey, you have to ask yourself a number of questions to sort of like assess where you are. Before readiness, where are we as an institution? You may find that your IT infrastructure is fine. Maybe you've just moved everything to a cloud. Then you have to build on that. It doesn't mean that all organizations have to start from scratch. Even at TUT, we had issues, some related to skill, IT skills, so we realized that we have to beef up our IT skills. So it's important to know where you are as an organization before you start on all this. Then by addressing these questions, you'll increase the probability of success. I think it's become pretty obvious, because you know exactly as to where you are and things that you'll be able to do in terms of moving on. So also, I did state that when I started, always establish a problem statement. I'm building a digital transformation or strategy. I'm implementing it, or I'm creating it, because there's a reason for it. It's not just because all universities are doing it and they've been successful. It's important to have a problem statement. Or setting the context. I always call that context. Everyone knows about COVID. That's a good start, whereby things change. Now we go into blended, sort of like online. Digital transformation can help you on that. So it's justifiable. And there are other things as well that can help. Maybe we do things manual, the university is losing a lot of money. Digital can help, because you're going to automate your processes. Then you've got your problem statement. So it becomes important. Okay, here are questions that can give you an idea where you are. Using AI for the first time, I'm sure most of us here, you must be in the middle on the broadening use of AI. But if you're starting, case problem, priorities, planned infrastructure, necessary data sources, are they there? Are they in place? Chosen software packages, and so on. If you're scaling up the use of AI, you have used AI, you're scaling up now, you want to improve, you can go to the middle kind of like ground. Cyber security, risk assessment, all those kind of things, you have to sort of like consider them. If you're now broadening out the use of AI, that's where we are now at sort of like TUT, because we've been working on it for a while. Then those are the things that we're working on in terms of the question that we keep on posing ourselves from time to time. Okay, recommendations which you can take home investment in AI is investment in people. There's no point building systems just on your own, as an individual. The whole organization should be part of it as well. So investing in AI, I'll be investing too. You need to have those digital skills as an organization, not as one individual. So for me, it's very important. Start small, which is very important. Then you pilot your problems. You're going to fail from time to time. They say that shows your strength. The getting up part, that's the most important part. I'm not saying all these things are easy to do, but at the end of the day, you have to start small. The problem with us now, we always want to start big, and then everything doesn't work out. If you start small, then you build up things, then it becomes easy. Data and AI preparedness must align with broader data and business strategy. That's very important there. Lockstep coordination between technical and business subject matter experts. That's very important as well, because you need those kind of like experts to be able to run with your systems as well. I'll just pass through your trust and transparency. I'm sure you're aware of that. Maturity won't be defined by any single application. And also machine learning must translate to enterprise learning, which is very important as well. Okay, these are the projects we're doing at TUT, because they always say that when I give talks, I always ignore them. These things that we have been working on. Accounting and system, we're developing, I've already said that, supply chain management, procurement of our systems. We're currently automating them. Probably by this time next year, everything will be up and running. Horticulture as well. We're becoming smart agriculture. We're currently working on that. Education, roadmap for future learning, energy. Our buildings now, we're trying to make sure that we're saving energy, whereby if an aircon is left on, it switches off. It can just, we sort of like time it, even lights. It's load shedding now. I don't think people leave lights deliberately. Now we're going to come up with a system whereby after a while, the lights will just switch off automatically. That's something that we're working on. Hospitality feedback, we're doing this for Pretoria East Hospital as well. They've been having problems with sort of like feedback from their patients. So that's something that we're working on, which should sort of like help in terms of now. Also, these guys, they always give me trouble. They have to be acknowledged. It's a teamwork, as I've said later on. It's not just my work. We're a team at TUT. We work together, and all these ideas, they come from different fields: management, humanities, engineering, and other fields as well. It's not just kind of like my own kind of like idea. As Kennedy once put it, this is a quote that drives me each and every day. He said, "Change is the law of life. Those who look only to the past or present are certain to miss the future." I think he was right. He said this in 1967, so it still applies today as well. Thank you very much, and hope you enjoyed that.
Did you start getting organizations to universities to use AI, to transform? Where would you start? Would you start with students, with the faculties, with the various departments? What's some thoughts on that?
Yeah. It's a very important point. I think setting up the context becomes key. It's easy to justify doing it because of COVID. So we've got a good start now to say COVID taught us a lesson that we're far behind. Then you need to do a SWOT analysis as well. It's very important. What are your strengths as an organization or as an institution? And what are your weaknesses? What are the opportunities? Lots of opportunities, probably. And what are the weaknesses? So if you can do that, it sort of like give you sort of like an idea as to where you can start as a university or even as a company. Don't forget to do a SWOT analysis. And also, the risks involved. I mean, you can be ambitious, but only to find that if this is not properly or appropriately funded, it's going to crash. It's not going to take off. So your SWOT analysis will guide you where to start. I wouldn't say start with people, start with students. People, of course, I mean the workforce, the university workforce, or start with students. But your SWOT analysis always guides you in terms of that, in terms of moving forward. We're lucky at TUT because we've got 4 pillars, strategic pillars. One of them is teaching and learning, which is the student part. Then there's research, which is now innovation, come up with techniques. Then there is resource optimization, which are the buildings and stuff for that infrastructure. Then there's people and teams, which is the workforce. So digital transformation has to address all those 4 pillars. It has to contribute. You can't leave one and sort of like include the other. It has to work across board. But your SWOT analysis will assist you in terms of checking off. Yeah. Thank you. But it's a very good question.
Thank you.
All right, colleagues, so quickly, just going to do a quick introduction of the data landscape, the role of libraries in the digital era. It's not a talk for librarians only. Then we're going to talk about the University of Pretoria's digital transformation, enhancing our digital literacy, and the impact of digital literacy on data management, and then action steps for universities that they can look at. So first of all, this is a conference that a lot of people work with a lot of types of data. But we're just going to talk about in general, not just research and academic institutions. But the 2023 estimated data consumption is estimated at 118 zettabytes, right? So for those of you not in the know, that is 118 million petabyte, right? I think I'm correct in that sense. So that is a lot of data, right, that we have to work through, an insane amount. So it entails millions of data that's being passed, whether it's social media, whether it's your own personal use, browsing the internet, generating data in the research office. Data is growing at an exponential rate. And you can see there the estimate as well. I don't know, the data pointer, oh, my finger's in the way. All right, there, for next year is 149 exabytes, right? So it's just increasing. So we have to try and manage our data in a better way, in a more structured way. This is a report. If you have $40,000, you can buy the report, but it's the IDC Global Datasphere Forecast, and it shows you that the 2025 data growth is set at 175 zettabyte. So this is just the extract from archive. All right, I'm not using this as the trend set or whatever, but look at the rate of submissions for research articles for this year and how it's grown over the past few years. All right, so research output's obviously growing as well. This is the submissions in terms of the different disciplines. Computer science is going ballistic in terms of publishing there and their research outputs. But you can see nonetheless, there's an increase in terms of the publications per month for the different disciplines. Right, so within all of this, just to talk to the library people, excuse there for the misalignment again, but the library is this place that's the enabler. That's the space that gives people access to relevant information, guidance on how to manage their data, to secure their data, and so forth. And we need to facilitate knowledge creation, not just the consumption thereof. Libraries are also the spaces that need to technologically adapt and change as the institution changes as well. So we play a vital role in the digital transition in universities. So offering consultation services to navigate digital landscape, developing and delivering training programs, supporting open access initiatives, and so forth. And then also keeping pace with digital transformation. So ensuring relevance in fast-paced digital transformation landscape, actively participating in the management and dissemination of digital resources, promoting and enabling self-directed learning and research. But that is the library just briefly in terms of what it needs to do. But what I want to talk about a little bit more in depth, though, is the University of Pretoria's digital transformation strategy. We launched earlier in this year. We did some road shows to inform all of the faculties and people involved about what it is. And one of my goals this year was a daunting task. It took me 10 months to do. But digital transformation, for us, is digital transformation requires delivering a more integrated and automated and optimized experience for staff and students and the larger UP audience. Now, to do that, we set ourselves, obviously, a few goals. We're not going to talk about all of the goals, but we're going to talk about goal one, objective one. So objective one for the University of Pretoria was to evaluate and monitor the digital literacy readiness levels of our staff and students on an annual basis. All right, so to do that, we had to do a digital literacy audit to determine this baseline for the institution. All right, so that was my responsibility for this year, so no pressure at all. Right, and then obviously when we did this, we had to identify different gaps and so forth in our training. Why are we doing this? It's obviously to set a baseline for the institution, to see where we are. If you want to reach a destination, you obviously need to know where you are. So this is the baseline for the institution, to provide insight into areas of excellence and concern, and then also allow for targeted interventions for staff at the institution. Right, so I'm going to play this video, stealing 3 minutes of my time, just to give you an overview of what this entails.
The University of Pretoria is committed.
Okay, so we've launched this tool now, and as of now, we already have 1,059 staff members who have participated in this. So we're getting a very good picture on this. As mentioned, information and data literacy. So these are the top 5 primary categories, but within them, there's obviously subcategories. So if you look at content creation, there's various elements. There's an example, the ability to work with word processors and so on. We ask questions about generative AI and awareness of AI and so forth on those. Digital environment, it asks people about setting up software environments, troubleshooting their own digital environments and so forth when they work at home, etc. We evaluate beginner, intermediate, and advanced. So there's a logic flow in terms of how a person is performing as they go out. We track their time, how long they take to answer certain categories as well. There's the data file, the flat file has about 476 variables on each individual. So we have a lot of data on the people that's participating. It is lengthy, and that's why we value people's time. It is currently about 70 minutes to complete. So we are asking a lot of staff, but we have gone through a change management process to inform people because the data is invaluable. And then we collect data on academic staff, our professional services staff, faculty department, and then also postgrades. So just to give you an idea on some of the insights, I can't share the actual data with you. It's operational data. But what you see there on the top right-hand side is the results from one department. With blue on the outline is their perceived confidence in the different categories. And then the sort of pinkish color, red color line is their actual results. Now, if you look at the graph at the bottom, this is a department that interacts with that department. So you can see there's a lot more overconfidence in the various categories. So there will obviously be, there's misalignment and also lack certain areas of either collaboration or information management. All right, so you can see there's a big difference between 2 departments that actually have to work together. So you want the department at the bottom to increase their skills so that they're kind of on par with the actual department as it goes along. So we get this information. The logic and information happens in real time. Reporting on real time. We also do training recommendations. So as soon as you click finish and submit, you receive an email with custom training recommendations based on the input that you provided. So if you did not fare well in beginner in terms of information literacy or data literacy, you get an actual recommendation based on this. I'll show you the email just now. Right, then the deans and directors receive an aggregated report. So no individual gets a result to say you've scored 85% or whatever. You get your training recommendations. Then the deans and faculties receive the aggregated reports. It remains anonymous. Okay, so that was the number yesterday. It's 1,050 something just now. What you also see here is a heat map of data. I can't tell you the categories, but we actually get a heat map on the different areas of performance, and you can identify areas quite quickly there. Below is just the deviations from the different norms. Obviously, different posts and so on have very bigger variability based on where people are in the organization. This is the email that people receive. So, dear colleague, we're writing to confirm that you participated, and then they get taken to these following links. This is an example of a person that did not fare well in all the different categories. Once they click on that, they get the unique access code, and it takes them to different training courses, so whether it's LinkedIn Learning or even the university's own portfolio. So we have the different training categories, so ITS, our enterprises solutions, and so forth. So the training recommendations gives the person a few avenues to pursue once they do want to do their training. So having said that, digital literacy does have an impact. Now reverting back to research data management, all right, from a library perspective. There was a study done at the University of Strathmore, University Strathmore in Kenya. The link is there at the bottom. So the study focused on skills lecturers need for effective research data management. And it obviously identified the skills gaps, but what it also highlighted was observed gaps in areas such as sharing, publishing, and understated data legislation, and securing research data. So all other elements of research or digital literacy that can relate to it. So it's very important to note that research data management is not just a process, it's a large encompassing thing that requires someone to have a specific digital literacy proficiency level to participate. So I can tell you now that you see researchers submitting queries to say either the digital literacy tool is for IT people or whatever. No, it's about people being well-rounded to participate in the digital world. You might be a fantastic computer engineer, but you might not be aware of all the ethical and security aspects, or you might not be aware of the information literacy aspects. So this is to enhance everybody's overall skills. So the impact also in terms of research data management is we will hopefully see improved handling of data, fostering collaboration with people because they're now able to collaborate better, data security and compliance, and then new innovative research methods that come out of it when people are enabled. So for a library, navigating this labyrinth, obviously this is determining where we are now. We're going to go into that labyrinth and ultimately reach a specific goal. But the entry for us is to invest in our training, as Prof. Twala mentioned, our workforce. So we are investing in our workforce now to determine where we are, to make recommendations and set a baseline for the institution. And hopefully when we redo this on an annual basis, hopefully not as long each time, is to create a better workforce. Then obviously, path for infrastructure upgrades. So as we want to reach that goal of enlightenment in terms of participating digitally, we want to ensure that our infrastructure is upgraded. And there's been a lot of talks at this conference about infrastructure and the renewal of infrastructure, and people want to obviously achieve what they can't achieve. Their goals, they have to upgrade their path and their infrastructure. And then the continuous learning loop is what we're trying to encourage so that people maintain that active learning loop. And then to collaborate the corridor with stakeholders, to involve everybody at the institution. Digital literacy is not just the responsibility of the digital transformation team or the Center for Future of Work, it's an institutional-wide endeavor. And with that, I move very fast. I am done. Thank you, Ina. Appreciate it.
Resources that get checked out or are relatively static, and as we see that kind of digital transformation happening, researchers need to be able to analyze data, work with data, visualize, all those kind of things, which is using systems historically built by the IT department or actually researchers themselves.
Yeah.
So how do you see the progress or the way forward in terms of making it easier for researchers, especially those who are maybe not so expert on things like programming languages and command lines, all those kind of things, to make best use of the data holdings that you have as libraries, or that we have via DERISA as a country?
Yeah, okay. It's a good question, and it's interesting as well, the role of historical IT departments and how they function in institutions. So a slide that I wanted to include here was a new endeavor of the library to set up a digital hub, which democratizes access to infrastructure, knowledge, and so forth. Libraries are the neutral spaces on campus, and we obviously provide access to training and consultation. Now, not necessarily being the experts in all, but being the connector. So whether we need someone from computer science to provide consultation, either workshop to other researchers, the library facilitates this by providing access to enabling spaces and then obviously the electronic resources. So our role becomes the facilitator and access to the required infrastructure in the future for people to access it. So I don't know if that answers your question to some extent. All right.
Any more questions? Professor Twana?
Thanks, good presentation, Isak. I'm a bit biased because I work in the same space.
Yeah.
Regarding the tool, how do you fill in or upskill those staff who are sort of like you feel that they are not digitally inclined? Because I mean, I see that you try and address the whole kind of like you're trying to sort of like accommodate everyone within the university, which is good because as you have said, you can't just pick on one. How do you address that?
So
scaling just to make sure that they are just right.
So at the moment, we obviously wanted to encourage participation, right? So I think a lot of people also fear when it comes to digital literacy to be, I'm an imposter. I don't know how to work in Excel or whatever the case might be. So the training recommendations at the moment are purely self-driven. So the person receives that, and whether they go and do it is up to them. But in future, we will be using this tool to then identify, to say, ISAC does require upskilling in privacy, security, and ethics based on the information that we have. So therefore, I can then follow up to ensure that that person then redoes that. But at the moment, just as the first phase, this is the baseline. So from here on end, we'll obviously do that.
Would this be something to be completed by new staff appointed and new students, first-year students when they enroll from university as well?
Yes. So there has been talks as well to include this into our HR process. So if someone says on the resume that they Word and Excel proficient, we can test that now as well. So yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much, Isa.
All right, thank you.
Hi everyone. My name is May Maile. I'm a senior software developer at Derisa. I'm here to present some services that Derisa do have. But before I present, I would like to start with this code where actually it's without data, you are just another person with an opinion. I think each and every day when we make decisions, if we don't have a data, it's like looking for a location without address. So there's no way that you will find that. So data actually is very critical, particularly in decision making. So it might be personal decision that I have to make. If I don't have data in front of me, it will be really difficult to make that decision. If I make decision without that data, it will be like I'm just guessing. But if you have data, definitely you will make a proper decision and a good one where actually, because what I will say is like data doesn't have favorism. If you want to find out actually how many people have attended this conference this year, it will tell you. If it's 200, it will tell you that it's 200 this year. You ask it next year, it will still give you the same answer. So for me, that's consistency. So in Derisa, we have what we call a single sign-on. So the single sign-on basically is where all our application actually, the authentication is happening on that single sign-on. We have various applications where actually all the applications are linked to the single sign-on. So here, I'm just explaining what single sign-on is. It just gives you or enable users to log in on a multiple application just using one set of credentials. So you don't need to have more username and password. You have one password and username, but you'll be able to access all the applications. So the benefit of single sign-on, it makes users easily to manage the application, because what they have to do, they have to manage one username and password. Also, it also help you because you don't have to think or remember or re-enter username and password more often. You enter it once, then you are able to access all the application. Also, it reduces the chance of phishing, because when you have various applications and your database are sitting on different locations, so you are actually opening that a risk of one of your database being hacked. So if you have only one database that is sitting on one location, you'll be able to protect that one. It also helps on help desk. There will be few complaints because about people failing to log in, because most people definitely they will remember that password because they only have one password that they are managing. And this is our single sign-on. That's where actually you do your registration. You enter the motivation why you want to use the research services. You enter your password. It checks how strong your password is, and then you click continue. And then when you click continue, actually that's where actually you will agree on terms and conditions. There is a terms and condition for policy. There is a privacy notice. There is a storage policy. So you agree on those ones, and there is I'm not a robot. Then you click OK. And when you are done with the registration, what it will happen? It will send you an email for you to confirm if you are really the one that was using this email. Where actually say it will send an email to this email address, and then I have to confirm to show that I'm the one who was doing this application. So here is where actually you log in. You just enter the password and username and password after you have been approved, because the admin on the other side, actually we have admin application where they will do the approval. So here is the services that we are currently having. We have data management plan. That's where actually you start planning your data, you create your template, and then from there actually users who will create their plan. Let's say they select, depending on which template they want to use, so they will create a plan on that one. And then we have data deposit tool. So after creating the plan, they will deposit their tool where actually they store their data, work on the data. So if the space is not enough, they will also do storage request. So on this one, actually, they will be able to request the storage. And then basically, immediately you register, by default, you have 100 gigs of storage to store your data. So on the other there on the menu, we have home. You can check your storage data, your storage status, if you have applied for storage, and then frequency asked questions and answers. So let's say it happened that you forgot your password, you can reset your password. So you reset your password by clicking there where it say reset password. That's where actually you can reset your password. So you enter your email address, you click email OTP, it will send you an OTP, you enter it there. It will send you an OTP on the email, you enter it there. You say verify, check if the OTP entered there is exactly the same as the one that is on the database. If yes, it gives you this option where actually you reset your password. And then there's this link here where actually it says ask questions, and then if you click there, if there's an issue when you are operating on this application, you can click there. Actually, it will give you enter your username, your email name, surname, and the issue, and then it will come to us, and then we will address the issue or reply back to you. So on that one, as I've said, there's a on the service that I've shown, there's DMP, which is data management. So by clicking on that icon there, actually, okay, first let me explain what this data management is, or the benefits actually. So it's a formal document that outlines how a research will be handled before, during, and after the project is completed. It outlines the practice of collecting, organizing, backupping, and storing the data that will be generated. So that's how, or in a nutshell, data management plan. So the benefits actually, in some templates that maybe we have already generated, you'll find that you have to meet certain funders requirements. So you outline there on your template, and then also find and understand your data when you need to use it. Continuity, if the project staff leave, a new one join, it will be easy because you already have your template, you define everything. So the new staff will be able to just carry on with the work. So it also, the data underlining publication is maintained, allow for validation of result. You can, define the publisher and research funder may require that you share your data. So all of those things will be defined on your template. So after clicking that icon on our first page that I shown, which is that one where actually say data management plan. Remember, you have just used one username and password on the single sign-on. So you click on that icon, it will take you to this page where actually you will be able to create your plan. And then here actually it shows how to create the plan, and the most important one actually is here, where actually you load your template. So we have different templates where actually let's see, organization will come, and then we help them to load these templates. So actually it loads by normally we will give them a link where actually they assign someone as a gatekeeper. But if they are struggling to create that template, we normally help. So when you are creating your plan, you select which template are you creating this plan on. So you can also browse and upload some document to support your plan, and then you click Save Plan. These are just some plan that we're just doing on testing environment. You can complete the plan, you can edit the plan, you can make a new version, make a copy, share the plan, and download the plan, and also delete the plan. So those are the actions that actually you can perform on the certain plan that you have already created. And here, actually, let's say when you are busy completing the plan, you can this actually will be defined on your template. So you're grouping your question like administrative data. It will be grouped on that one. Data collection, so storage and backup. So you will ask those questions. So here I was just showing how to answer those questions. This is just an example of one of the plan that actually I was busy creating. And then you can search a plan. So here actually you can search by a title, project name, grant number, plan title. So you can search those plans that you have created on the app also. So they actually is what a data management plan can perform. So secondly, I will say failure. I agree with Pearl. Failure is an amazing data point that tells you which direction not to go. So I think in many cases we fail because information or data actually will tell us which direction not to go, but we sometimes, or in many cases, we say, okay, I follow my guts or I follow my feelings. Then you take that direction where actually the data was directing you not to go. So being personal, cooperative decision that we make sometimes, we take those direction where actually data said don't go that direction. And then second one is a data deposit tool. So on this one, now you have your plan, you have plan how you are going to, where you're going to store your data, what are you going to do with your data. So here, that's where actually you're gonna store your data, meaning you start to do the real work now. You collect your data, you have make a plan, everything defined. Now you are starting to do the real work. You're storing your data. So you will use data deposit tool to do that. So before I can do that, I can explain the functionality. These are just some explanation. It have collection, where it allows users to create folders where data will be stored. It helps on organizing users' data storage, meaning you can, if you have data for, let's say, software development, you create that folder, all the software development data will be sitting on that folder. So it just helps you on organizing your data. You can search data that is available. You can create your own template where actually you define your own metadata. You can share the link with other users so that actually you can work on same document where it allows you to share depending on which permission you are giving that user. You can delete that data item. Those are the functionality of data deposit tool. So that's how it looks on data deposit tool. On the initial page that I showed, this is the icon. So also remember, you logged in, you got all the services. So this is the icon that you'll click. It will take you to this page where actually you are doing to do the deposit of your data. So there I was just structuring my folders where there's application, presentations. So all the data or documents that are related to application will go to applications. presentation, all data that are related to presentation will go to the presentation. The advantage of this is you don't need to walk around with flash drive, or so anywhere where you have internet access, you will be able to download your data or work on your data and then store it. So you have that storage. And basically on this one, actually by default you have 100 gig, but if you use all the 100 gigs, you can do the application on storage request. Then based on your reason, can increase your storage. So here I was just creating a folder, adding it on collections. That's where I was going to store software developer documents. So these are the actions that you can do on that folder, where you can move, copy, rename, apply template on that data, meaning on that folder, and then download or delete it. So they actually, that's the process of uploading data or files. You select the files on your local. That was the file that I selected. Then I uploaded it on that software developer folder. So here actually, I was just adding that folder. So here I was sharing. So when you share, you give permission to the user. You have the owner, you have the read, you have the write. Meaning the owner, when I give you the owner right, it means you will have every right that I have as the owner of the document. If I give you write, you can only write and read on that document. But if I give you read only, meaning you can't modify the document, what you have to do is only read the document. So here actually just show that I've shared this document. I've logged in as a different user now. Actually I can see that document. So even here you can do the search. So you define the object that is maybe its file name, then on the it contain, you type the value there. If it contains this name, display it. So depending on which criteria are you using to search. Okay. So yeah, here actually the last one actually is the storage, where actually you request your storage. If you need more storage, you have two types, where actually we have the data deposit tool, storage request. You just fill up this form. You click submit your request, then it will come to us. We will see the reason why you want to, and then we will upgrade it. So we have also long term. If you want to archive your data, you just do the request there, and then we give you access to archive your data. So you can check your status of the application on the system. So here's the URL where actually you can do all those registration and see how the application works. And all these services are for free. And these two below here, there are upcoming services that we will sooner add, data sharing and the Mindin DOI services. So those two are currently on dev. So we are finishing them, and then we'll go to QA, get tested. If everything goes well, they will go to production. So lastly, I would say just interrogate data, it will confess to you. Thanks, everyone.